So let's get started. I want you to hold each handle, then choke up just a little bit or wrap each hand so there's a bit more slack than you're used to. Take your feet about shoulder to hip width apart and just start to squat. Weight through your heels and make sure your hips are driving to the rear wall. Neck is nice and long, and with a little bit of tension in between your hands, I want you to start to sweep the arms overhead as you stand. So a nice big squat with an overhead raise. As you raise those arms up, careful that you don't flare those front ribs. I want you to feel some nice bracing through your torso. 4 more of these. Then at the very top of the next one, I want you to sweep that band all the way to your back and back to the top. Squat, sweep it back. So we're doing a little bit of shoulder mobility, kind of getting up and downward rotation of the shoulder blades, then articulating through the actual shoulder joint or the ball and socket, since we're going to do a lot of shoulder work today. Then go back to that squat raise, just overhead. We're going to keep this, but every time you stand, I want you to lift your knee. Start right, then left. Then with that knee raise, I want you to hold it. Pause at the top. Squat, lift your left knee. Pause at the top. Squat, lift your right. Getting a little bit more structural or soundness in through your standing hip. Instead of that hold, I want you to lunge back right. Do that same squat knee, lunge back left. Squat knee, lunge right. Then we're going to take that arm position. I want you to take the arms bend to the left. Take the arms bend to the right. So we're getting a little bit more of that lateral flexion of the torso, yet still the stability of that standing forward leg. Let's do 2 more each. 1 more each side. Getting nice and warm. And then for just a moment, I want you to lose that band. We're gonna do some activation for the hips and the whole structure into that lower torso. So I want you to position yourself into a side plank with your right forearm down, your right knee planted, and your hips stacked from ceiling to floor. So we have a lot of that lateral tension, that push of that right arm. And then take the left arm to the sky. Maintain that base of the rib cage knitting in. And I want you to start to just lift and lower that top leg. So before we do any kind of peripheral loading, arms and legs, we always want to think of that activating of the core. Extend your top leg. So now you have a little longer lever, just up and down. 4 more just like this. We're only going to do 1 set of these as activation. I want you to turn over onto your hands and knees. Come to a modified plank so your hands and your toes are connected to the floor, hovering your knees. That nice protracted shoulder blade position and hollow belly. Take that right leg and start to rotate it around. So getting a little bit more stability into that left side, squaring the hips. Take that rotating right leg and reverse your direction. 4 more counts. 3, 2, and then turn yourself over onto the left forearm. Position yourself once again with your shoulder over your elbow stacked, your hips stacked from floor to ceiling, and that lifting of that bottom rib cage. Top right arm lifts up. Just start lifting and lowering that top leg. So again, getting a little bit more of that activation to your bottom left glute. 3 more with that bent leg. Just like we did on the other side, straighten that long right leg. So everything is really quiet and stable except for the moving right leg. Let's do 2 more. And then once again, come to your hands and your toes, that modified plank to hover the knees. Take that left leg and start to circle. Kind of squaring through the shoulders and the hips. Try not to let anything rotate in excess on that left side. Reverse your rotation. So you're probably noticing a lot into that right thigh. See if you can stay balanced into both hands. And then gently release. Let's come onto our backs. Want you to take your legs straight up in the air. Your hands behind your head. Gently fold up into a nice high crunch. So you're really active in flexion and compression. And then you're just gonna start to open and close your legs. Little hedge trimmer. Only now I want you to double time that, out and in. So you're creating some oscillating tension that you're trying to resist excess motion. Take those legs, keep the oscillation of the hedge trimmer, and start to lower them down, maintaining that flat spine. Come back up to the top with those legs. 6, 5, 4, 3. Now take it down, same, but 4 counts. 3, 2, back to the top. 4, 3, 2, down to the floor, or lowering, back to the top. Let's do 2 more rounds. Back to the top. 1 more round. And to the top. Hug your knees to your chest. Let your head relax for a moment. And using your legs for momentum, help yourself all the way to standing. Go ahead and grab your long band. Give yourself a little bit of open space. Step into the center with 1 or both feet. And remember, variable resistance depends on your limb length. Obviously, the resistance bands elasticity. So really modify by changing how much your position against that resistance creates your movement patterns to be nice, strong, and stable. So I want you to bring your hands to your shoulders. Make sure your shoulders are not protracted here, but nice and tight along that rib cage. And then I just want you to give me a squat down and up. So we're gonna do 2 sets of compound action, arms and legs. Then we'll just do a little bit of abdominal or core work and move on to the next exercise. As you stand, extend your elbows. So we're gonna do a little combo bicep curl with your squat. You can always make it tougher by wrapping and creating more tension against that band. Let's do 8 more like this. As you're flexing and extending the elbows, I want you to make sure you still maintain that long neck and the open chest. We're gonna incorporate a shoulder press from that bicep curl. So right here, I want you to press overhead, then extend down. Press overhead, then extend down. Press overhead. When you get that overhead press, see about getting that upward rotation of your shoulder blades, so you're not getting a lot of shrug as your primary motion. Go back to just your squat curl. 6, 5, 4, 3, just your squats. Let's do 4 more just like this. 3, 2, and take that band still under your feet to a seated position. You're going to extend your knees almost to the point where they're straight, so you're creating a good amount of tension in that band. Again, you can always create more by adding a little bit more tension with the wrap. Then I want you to hold that band to your chest. Find a little bit of back extension and brace. Take the hands and rotate one side, then the other. As you rotate, I want you to see about almost squaring the hips to the front and really feeling a posterior pull or your back body aiding that twist. Instead of this tempo, speed it up. Switch, switch. 6, 5, 3, 2. Let's come back to standing. Repeat that whole series, starting with the squats, underneath the feet. Hands at your shoulders and just down and up. Squats. 4. So nice and strong through the torso throughout these motions. Add your bicep curls. As you rise, a good extension. Two more. Now give me that curl to press overhead. And again. Here's where you can check in, especially if you have long arms and legs or a long torso. Maybe it's more modified, not a full elbow extension. Last time with that press, go back to just your squat curl. 6, 5, 4, and like we began, just your squats. Still loading through the heels and the big toe mounds, creating some torsion or almost that screwing of the femur into the hip socket. Then have a seat. Let's go back to that boat, modified boat, feet on the floor. Hold that band to your chest, find that back extension, and add your twist. So right away into that quicker tempo. If you'd like to increase intensity and put a little balance challenge into this motion, I want you to lift both feet. So your goal again, working to square the hips, working into the posterior pull, and a lot of thoracic twisting. You have 4, 3, 2, that's it. Come back to standing. We're gonna leave that whole series behind, move into a little bit more lateral or frontal plane. I want you to take your feet and knees wide, wider than hip, so that when you descend, you have not too much of an over the toe, therefore a loss of heel pressure angle. So once you're there, toes and knees in the same direction, I just want you to sumo squat. Or in dance, your plies. Then once again, you're gonna take those handles, wrap or choke up, create a nice open chest, but this time not as much slack as we had in the warm-up. We're gonna really pull between the blades in retraction without a lot of shrug through the neck. Add your pull on the up, pull back, pull back. Here's where you can check in, see if you need a little more resistance. Add another wrap, or a little less, take away that wrap. You have 4 more just like this. Just like your basic squat, I want you to make sure your heels and big toe mounds are down. Then I want you to raise your arms overhead and pull down. Reach and pull down. Reach and pull down. Let's combine it. Chest level, overhead. Chest level and overhead. See as if you can really work from your shoulder blades and not so much from your neck and upper traps. So you're allowing that rotation up and down through your scap. Then I want you to hold that row across your chest. Just give me your sumo. Base ribs in front are really pulling in towards those front hips. Every time you bend your knees now, I want you to pull your elbows in. Punch back out. So now we're nice and stable in that mid-back, adding that long tricep extension. We're gonna change our counts from singles to pulse down 3 times. Come back up on 4, punch out. Pulse 3, punch out. 2, Punch out. Little variation, I want you to hold 3 counts. Just hold, 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 punch out, hold, punch out. We're gonna mix it up after 2 more. One more time. On that hold, I want you to take your left foot, tap into your right. Punch out, right foot taps into the left. So we're getting a little closed chain rotation through that standing hip. Maintaining that nice solid torso. 4 more. Your upper back is nice and fiery. 1 more each. This is it. Then I want you to go ahead and take yourself to the floor. We're gonna wrap our right foot with the band. Bring your hands, holding the handles, to the floor so you can pressure them to maintain contact. Then I want you to find a high plank. Lift that wrapped right foot. Square your hips, protract your shoulders. Resist that inward knee pull and really drive out from your right hip. You have 8 more. Push. 7. Drive out, so we're driving that hip extension all the way from hip to heel. 2 more. Change sides. Onto the left foot wrap. Right foot plants. Left leg lifts, protract. Resist that left knee. Drive the left foot. We have 8 more. 7. 2. Come back to standing. Woo! Find that same sumo. Wrap or choke up. Go into your squats. Just down and up. A little sweat action. As you rise, straight arm pulls. So we already know what's going to happen in that second round. Make your adjustments to increase intensity, because remember, our purpose is to tear muscle microscopically. Take that band overhead so that tomorrow you get stronger because of recovering from this workout. 4 more. Do a little combination. Chest level, pull back, overhead, pull back, overhead. Nice and strong and stable through that torso line. Even weight in through your feet. Let's do 4 more of each. Shoulders and back, nice and fiery. 3, 2. Last time with the arms. Hold that front row. Just hold it. Then bend the elbows. Push out. I want you to feel as if you're trying to punch each side wall. So there's a lot of reach and opening away from your body. Take that sumo down 3 pulses. And extend back up, 3 pulses. And extend back up. Let's do 2 more of these. We're not gonna hold and separate the motions. Let's go right into that tap. Left foot in, punch out. Right foot in. Feel the strong, stable foot on that right side, and then now on the left side. So you have that stability from the ground up. The knee doesn't twist. It's within the hip joint. Last one each side. Last time. Take yourself back down to the floor. Wrap your left foot. So second side first. Find that high plank. Left leg lifted. Right foot planted. Resist that knee flexion and drive. 10, 9. All the way from the hip through the heel. Drive out. 2 more. And again, switch sides. Wrap your right foot, stabilize the plant from your left, resist that right knee, drive out. You have 10, 9, everything quiet and stable besides that right leg. Last 2. That's it. So we're gonna leave that one behind. We're gonna come all the way up, and I want you to take that right foot, wrap the band underneath, bring yourself with a little bit of choking reach or grabbing down on that band. Take your left foot back. So I want you in a little bit of a bent knee, and from that right hip, we're going to extend, drive up, hinge, drive up. Now do that a little bit faster. Hip extension, hip flexion. So we're getting the predominance into that forward right leg. Hip extensors, back extensors. We're gonna pause next time. I want you to take it down and hold. Rise up, down and hold, rise up. Do that again. Hinge, hold, rise. Next time, instead of that hold, I want you to row. Hinge, row it, rise up. Hinge, row, rise up. Hinge, row. So the predominance of your weight is into that right foot, and just like your squats, evenly from heel and big toe. Now give me 3 rows. 3, 2, stand all the way up. Do that again. 3, 2, 1, stand up. 2 more. Hinge, row 3, row 2, rise up. Last time. 3, 2, rise up. Let's change sides. So left foot into the center, choke up on that band, grab low, tap your right foot back, extend the hip, lower down. Do that again. Extend the hip, lower down. So we're really working against that forward band's resistance. Do that tempo. Lift, lift. So you're really noticing that hip extension versus your back extension. We have that core bracing. We're gonna change the motion a bit. Hinge down, hold, come up. Do that again. Hinge, hold, come up. Sorry, I had to cheat. Do that one more time without the arms. So we're getting a good stable left hip. Now row, 1 time. Again, hinge, row, 1 time. Again. Too often when we work, there's a lot of bilateral stability. I like these staggered stances and changing planes of motion, like those sumos, to mix it up. Let's go 3 rows. Especially since as humans, we're on 1 foot most of the time. Do that again, 3 rows. On your row, it's less of a squeeze or a pinch. It's more of a stabilizing the blades and letting the arm bones move within the socket. Rise up, do that again. Hinge, row 3. Rise up, let's do 2 more rounds. Rise up, 1 more round, row 3. Rise up. Then I want you to take 2 feet into the center. But know that when you do, whatever resistance band is in between your feet is going to be the tension you use. So you may want to actually move your hands closer, move your feet closer to the handles if you want less leg tension and more upper body tension, or keep your feet a little bit closer if you want more shoulder tension. Wrap the handles, hold both with both hands. Then I want you to sidestep left and right. or right and left. So it kind of looks like you need to go to the bathroom with your hands in front. But as you're stepping, notice if you turn your toes out, see if you can angle them to the front and really work more into abduction or that lateral hip. The upper back is nice and strong and straight versus rounded forward with your shoulders. As you step right, I want you to row the arms. Row the arms. Kind of like a modified lateral raise. You have 8, 7, 5, 2 more. Gently release. Take yourself onto your belly. Hold the band with your hands, wrap so that you have quite a bit of resistance between your hands. The arms and legs are going to extend. I want you to Superman. Lower it down. Do that again. Superman. Lower down. As you Superman, feel your belly hollow in a sense with a brace against that back extension. Lift, hold, hold, lower down. So the whole time here, there is no slack in that band between your hands. We're gonna add more tension on that hold next time. Separate, row. Do it again. Row. Again. So almost like that lat pull down, right in front of the chest. Let's do 3. 2 more. Last time. Bring yourself back up to standing. 1 more round. Modified single leg hip hinge with your rows. Let's start with that left foot forward. Again, choke up. Find your right foot stabilizing back. And then I want you to hinge front and back. Front and back. Feel like that left hip is really doing the predominance of work, both in your resistance forward and your drive up. Add 1 row. Do that again. Just checking in with your balance. How much weight is really onto that right foot? Give me 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. Stand up. Do that again. So I asked about the load on that right foot because I want to see if you can start to elevate that foot on your row. Only an option. Stand up. Do that again. And again, rise. Hinge, row 3, 2. Go back to your singles. Hinging, rising. Getting just a little bit of that dynamic tempo. Lift your right leg. Right leg. Right leg. Stable into that left foot. Let's do 3, 2. Change sides. Right foot comes into the center. Left foot comes back. Again, choke up. And then hinge. So into that stable right foot. Driving into that right hip. Both resisting forward and your extension up. Let's do 4, 3. Add 1 row. Again, 1 row. And then instead of 1, let's go to 3. Check in with that left foot. How much weight is really there? And can you offload it? Because coming up, we're going into that balance test. feel like it's time for a margarita with this music. One more time. Hinge, row 3. So we're gonna maintain that count. Add your left leg lift. 3, 2, extend up. Do that again. Hinge, row 3. Left leg, left leg. Stand up 2 more just like this. Hinge, row, row. Rise up. 1 more like this. I hope you notice that standing right hip. Just your hinge. Down and up. And again, dynamic tempo with this quick pace. Add your left leg. Hinge. Hinge. It's almost like that water bird. Stable standing left foot. Excuse me, right foot. Your right foot. Last set of 4. 1. Trunk is so solid. 1 more time. That's it. Step in the center with both feet. Cross the band. Hold with 2 hands. Side steps. So kind of getting into that lateral hip. Notice when you step that there's no sway with your torso. You're almost robotic through that spinal column. Then as you step left, I want you to start to raise that band. Row, row. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Take it down to your belly. This music is not very good for sequencing consistency. I want you to find yourself in that Superman pose. We're gonna change it up a little bit. I want you to pull down so it's in alignment with your head, so it's much more of a separation. So this time you're gonna rise up, pull it against your head, push it all the way out, then lower down. Again, against your head. So it's a little bit more of a lat widening. Do that faster. Lift, pull. 3. 2 more. 1 more time. I want you to rise up and just oscillate that pull back and forth. As you're working that frontal plane with the pull, I want you to start to swim your legs. Hollow your belly. You have 8 more counts. 6, 4, 3, 2, let it go. Go ahead and relax, lose that band. Find yourself into a nice modified child's pose. Knees can be wide, they can be narrow, but I really want you to focus on clawing your fingers forward, allowing for some length to happen from your waist through your shoulders. And because we did so much shoulder work, I want to get more into that kind of lateral aspect of your shoulder blade. Walk your arms around to the left. Find your right rib cage pushing off to the right side and your right hip pulling backward. Wiggle your arms back around to center. Move them towards the right. Push your left rib cage and shoulder blade out to the left side and roll that left hip backward. Then come back to center. Bring yourself onto your back. In this reclined position, let's take your left ankle, cross over your right knee, move your arms to a T, and I want you to rotate all the way over onto your right hip. With that left foot flat on the floor, hold the left ankle with your right hand. So you're kind of in a modified figure 4, supported on the floor. Then I want you to draw your left rib cage towards the floor in back. And then gently press that left knee away from you. Notice if you are overextending, I want you to knit your front ribs just a little tighter towards the front hip. Look over that left shoulder. Then come back to center with those legs. Reverse it. Take your right ankle over your left knee. Roll onto your left hip so that your right foot touches the floor. Hold that right ankle with your left hand. Move that right rib cage towards the floor. Extend your right arm. Gently press that right knee away from you, though the right foot is still in contact with the floor. And again, if it feels like you're arcing your back excessively, just feel that front rib cage knit in just a bit more to the right hip. Look over your right shoulder. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center. Hug both knees to your chest, your nose to meet your knees. Use a little momentum. Help yourself forward and up. Remember, you can always add or delete any of those exercises or sets. So if you want a little bit more, maybe a third set is in store. Have a great day. Thanks, you guys.